Hello everybody, this is Mo, the Gnostic Warrior, the founder of the Order of the Gnostics, taking a walk in the talk today with you YouTubers. One of the first times that I'm doing this. Hopefully I get some live viewers. I've been doing these on Facebook and they've been really popular, and I've been sharing them here on YouTube, and I'm finding out people are enjoying some of these walks and these talks. So I thought today, that reminds me of like the teacher when she used to, the fingernails on the blackboard. Anyways, today I wanted to talk to you guys, you YouTubers and everybody out there, and Facebook, if you watch this on the broadcast, why people are going mad in this world and why the demonic, elemental, parasitic fungi are taking over humanity. I'm gonna do this all as I take a walk, and hopefully I don't get hit by cars or any crazy neighbors that are possessed come and try to attack me. Some of you, you might have watched my videos on Facebook, but okay, I'm back, so hopefully this will stay live. Hey everybody, thank you for joining the conversation. Please comment, thumb up this video if you would like to share it with your friends. I'm going to talk about some science here and some deep stuff with you guys. So you're only going to hear this stuff from Mo, the Gnostic Warrior, okay? You're not going to hear it from anybody else like I'm going to give it to you. So even if there's just a few people today watching the live broadcast, if you catch it on the rebroadcast, cool. Right now I really can't do a definite time for these and announce it to everybody, so I just kind of do it on the fly when I have time, because I'm so busy working and the family, etc. So I wanted to share with you guys the science of why the world and even humanity is being taken over by the demonic elemental fungi. Hey, good evening from the Midwest. All right. Yeah, it's about, I don't know what time it is here. I think about 5:15 or so on the West Coast. I'm in San Diego, California, taking a walk near my home. I live in a place called Fallbrook. It's a pretty cool little area. But anyways, let's talk about these elemental fungi, guys, that are taking over our family, our friends, and possibly some of the people that are listening to this broadcast. Okay, so if some of you have caught some of my other videos, you'll see a common theme that I talk about. And some of you know that I'm a Gnostic. Some of you follow my stuff on GnosticWarrior.com. My podcast, I've interviewed hundreds of people, written many articles and a book as well. And recently, over the past few years, I've been writing on a subject on parasites, serpents, archons, of course, some of the typical Gnostic themes from ancient days, right? And then I've been tying it to the science of today and some interesting connections I've been finding. Sorry guys, there's a lot of bugs out tonight. It's hot and humid and sticky, so I'm getting a bad connection too, so hopefully you guys are able to see this all right. So yeah, anyways, I'm sorry for the bad connection, guys. It keeps going in and out, and there's a lot of spiders everywhere. So these parasitic fungi, guys, if you don't understand what they're doing, I'd like to give you just a little brief rundown. So fungi is the Latin word for molds. Okay, molds would be the English version of it. And there's about 600 different genuses and species of these molds, these fungi, right? And they're mainly parasitic, okay, meaning they live off of their host. Okay, so when they live off of their host, they basically suck off the nutrients, the life resources from their host, okay? So they live, they don't go out and get their own food like we do and work and or plow the fields, etc., or raise cattle. No, they parasite off of everything that we see, okay? Their job is to break matter down and to putrefy it and basically kill it and eat it. And then, hey guys, my family just drove by. Love you. I told her I was gonna do a little walk and a talk. Almost died, etc., etc. Right? So the truth, the disclosure, the revelations, the revealing is happening right now, guys. Okay, it's out there on TV, but they'll say that this is rare, that these people, slow down, freaking speeding. Anyway, sorry. I always have it in with some of my neighbors. You gotta watch it around here, guys. People are crazy and mind controlled. So anyways, these fungi, these molds, these parasites are able to commandeer these different insects, their minds, etc., to make them do their bidding. Okay, some of you have probably heard of this, of the ants, right? That's the biggest one going around right now on the internet, etc. So Google ants mind control, and you'll see, or fungi mind control, and you'll see these fungi that are able to commandeer these ants. I believe the fungi is called cordyceps, I believe is what it's called. In any event, so they're able to commandeer these ants as well. And some of you have heard of the bees, the beehives. Basically, they're getting destroyed, right? Bees are dying. What most people don't understand is the reason, if you research this really thoroughly, the reason they're dying is from the fungi. Okay, so it's the actual fungi that is destroying them. Okay, not, hey guys. So that's what is destroying them. The trees, the bees, everything's getting destroyed by these fungi. Okay, so you'll see this time and time again. And to give you a little background of my story and what happened with me is that sorry guys, I don't even know if you guys are able to see. I don't even see any comments, how the connection is. So I'm just gonna keep doing this and hopefully it'll turn out well. I don't wanna stay at my house here. I gotta go out and I gotta walk to really feel it. So, hey guys, I'll be right back, just a few minutes. Love you guys.
Love you.
So anyways, when I do these walks and these talks, I gotta kind of get in the mode, get in the groove, you know, and I kind of get in my own zone. And it's weird, you know, I love my family very much and, you know, I want to be around them all the time. But when I get into this zone and I'm talking to you guys, I just want to be with you guys and be with my thoughts and kind of get everything going. Because it can get confusing and can get hard to keep the flow going. So bear with me, guys. So what I've come across as far as this fungi is that it came into my home. Okay, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, well, it's been 7 years, I moved into a home where it had mold and fungi and I didn't know it. And my family had got really, really sick. And we lived there for 5 years, beautiful house. Hey, peace, thanks everybody for listening and joining the conversation. If you could please like the video, thumbs it up and share it with everybody. I want to try to do this live. I usually do these on Facebook, so doing it with you guys, the YouTube community. I don't do many YouTube videos, but I've been doing these videos and they're real popular, so I'm hoping you guys will enjoy them and you guys can maybe relate. So back to the story about my family. So we were living in this house in California, Southern California, Carlsbad, beautiful ocean view. My business was doing really well. I own my own business, but since then it's went downhill, but that's another story. So anyways, we were living in this house in Carlsbad, California, beautiful house for 5 years. And my son and my daughter, they started getting sick. And it would happen like every couple months, every few months, and I didn't know what was going on. And I just put it to like it was the school, the kids, you know, them going to school and catching some kind of bug or whatever. I had no idea about bacteria, molds, indoor air quality, nothing like that. I was totally just I was agnostic, right? I had gnosis. I was ignorant, guys. So anyways, I ended up taking my son to the doctor several times, and my daughter. They had different things happen with them. Flu all the time, earaches all the time, asthma, allergies. And this kept going on and on for several years. And not so much where they were like hospitalized, but where I had to take them to the hospital several times to a doctor because they weren't getting better at home. And so this kept going on and going on for several years, right? And I live at the beach, right? Beautiful Southern California. So I was leasing the home. I didn't own it. My business was doing well at the time. And one day I was taking a walk with my son. We were walking on this trail, this lagoon trail, and all of a sudden he falls on the ground behind me, just crying in pain, and he couldn't get up. And I was like, "Son, what happened to you? What? Why are you on the ground? Did you get bitten by a snake? What's going on?" He goes, "I don't know, Dad." He goes, "It just hurts. It just hurts." And I was just flabbergasted. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. And I go, "Did you twist it?" You know, I kept asking him the questions like that. "What happened? Did something happen earlier, possibly, son?" You know, so anyways, he couldn't walk. And I had to carry him 2 miles that day. And, you know, he was a pretty big boy. I don't know if you've ever carried anybody 2 miles. Even if it's a kid, a light kid, it's pretty heavy. So I have some admiration for those military guys out there that carry their comrades on their backs, right? So anyways, I take him to the doctor and, you know, try to get him diagnosed, and they can't diagnose him. But they say that it was an injury, that he somehow maybe sprained it or something that day. And it didn't make sense because he said he didn't, and then maybe he did and he didn't realize it. So we kind of put it off for a day or two, and he just never got better. And a week goes by and he's still in pain. I mean, it's not like if you ever twisted your ankle, you basically are able to kind of walk the next day, and, you know, a little bit, and it kind of gets a little bit better as time goes by, you know, and you kind of stay off of it, but your pain slowly subsides. His was the same. It was like a 10 every day, and he couldn't walk, and I had to carry him, right? He had his bedroom upstairs at the time. So anyways, this goes on for another week, and I take him to the doctor, and, you know, they're running tests, you know, and they x-rays, etc. Nothing, they can't find anything, you know, that we go do MRI a week later, he's not getting better, same thing. So anyways, long story short, he doesn't get better. And we go out to doctor after doctor. And I eventually find out that people who have been affected by toxic mold, parasitic fungi, the elementals, have similar problems where they can't walk, they have pain in their joints, they get sick, they have the flu, their kids have asthma, etc., etc. And so I was researching this stuff, and it was all new to me because really I never had any issues with my health like that or my family. And so I just never really got into the health aspect of Gnosticism, of gnosis, of knowing thyself, right? One of the most important things I was completely missing as a Gnostic. In any event, remember when I say Gnostic, guys, the YouTube community, keep in mind that Gnosis is Greek for knowledge, and to be a Gnostic is to be a man or a woman of knowledge. Okay, so I'm a proud Gnostic, right? So it's not a bad word, right? The church had put propaganda out there. That's another video. We'll do another day, another walk and talk with you guys out there. But I wanted to go and tell you what happened. So I see all these people on the internet and these stories of these people that are basically exact same as my son's. And I decided to get a mold test. And at that time, my business was going downhill too. Guys, I didn't add that into the story. I was at allergies, bad allergies, headaches every day. I had depression. I didn't feel well, 90% of the time. I was just feeling like just terrible and depressed and unhappy and not suicidal, but just didn't really, I don't know, didn't want to live, but I didn't want to die. I just wasn't happy, but I should have been. So in any event, I end up getting a mold test, and the mold inspector calls me the next day. This mold inspector is one of the best in San Diego, with the research I did. And he goes, Mo, if I were you, bro, I would move out of that house as soon as possible. I mean, like tomorrow, ASAP. He goes, the mold is off the charts. He goes, you have some of the worst molds, Aspergillus, Stachybotrys, and they're just off the charts. They're airborne. You guys are breathing this in. Your son's sick, and I could almost guarantee, brother, that he's sick from this mold that I'm catching on my test. So the mold guy, when he came out, he did an air test. It's a filter, and they actually suck in all the air inside of your house. Okay, and I'm now a mold inspector, guys, but I'll tell you more about that in another video. So they go into the house and they suck in it through, and it goes into a trap, and that's where they capture the spores from the indoor air that's circulating in your house. Okay, so this stuff was airborne in my house, and he said it was just off the charts. And I got the report, and it was. And so we ended up moving out. We couldn't move out right away. I don't know if anybody's ever had a situation like this or similar. It's just, when you have a family and you have a lease, you just can't just leave the next day. So anyways, it took a few weeks. We ended up being able to get out of the lease, and we ended up moving up to the mountains, right, to a new place for a little while. It's just a vacation rental. And the first day, guys, my son started walking again. Yeah. And it was just unbelievable as a father. It went from a 10 pain, I was carrying my son, to 0, and he was walking and running. I was just like, what the hell's going on? What's going on? This is a miracle. It was fresh air. It was the mountains. He was out of the demon parasitic elementals eating him alive, terrorizing him in that house. All of us, my whole family. My daughter's teeth were falling out. She was only 2 years old, 3 years old when we moved in. We never do the sugar stuff. We're all organic. We do the organic. They don't drink Pepsi. They barely ever have sugar. And if they do, it's like molasses, or syrup, whole stuff, the real stuff, the whole sugar, if anything, and my wife is making it. So there was no reason for her teeth to start rotting and falling out. I don't know if any of you have had problems with your teeth. It is just painful. It's dreadful. So they were literally terrorizing us for several years, guys, in this house. And my son was able to walk the next day. So, anyways, as time progresses, I'm studying these fungi. I'm studying these molds. I'm learning about them. And I'm learning what happens. And this was several years ago. And just so you guys know, my son got a lot sicker. I don't want to talk about that in this video. It actually came back because they were in his blood and his body. And they came back with a vengeance after him. And it was actually a 2-year battle bringing my son's health back. And that's why I've been kind of absent on GnosticWarrior.com. That's why I haven't been doing many videos or any content, any podcasts, because my son was sick. Now he's better. Thank you. And using this knowledge to teach you guys what's going on out there. So fast forward to today. 2 years later, I'm now working in the water damage and the mold industry. I'm actually learned so much knowledge. I got a job when I moved back here from New Mexico to Southern California, and I got a job for a water damage mitigation restoration company. So what we do is anytime there's emergency water damage or someone has mold, we go out to that property and we inspect it, see what's going on, etc. So I just wanted you guys to know that the knowledge that I learned over this past year, I've been using basically to walk the walk, okay? I'm not just talking about it, I'm actually in the industry. I'm actually doing things every day that deal with mold. It affected my family. I've seen firsthand what has happened. I'm seeing firsthand on the street what is going on out there and how these parasitic fungi are taking over people's minds, their brains. Okay, and I want to share this science with you guys. Okay, so these parasites, these fungi like the Aspergillus stachybotrys, they release these mycotoxins, okay? These mycotoxins, guys, are some of the most deadly toxins in the world. But you didn't learn this in school in biology class, right? You didn't learn this on the media or the internet. You're not going to learn about it. But these mycotoxins are actually making into bombs, okay? Weapons of mass destruction. And they've been doing it for a long time, okay? Saddam Hussein was doing this in Iraq. And if you actually Google this, there's actually documents on RAND, the RAND Corporation, CIA documents, etc., that they found these weapons of mass destructions made with mycotoxins like from Aspergillus for these bombs. Thank you for the comments, everybody, the thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Mo, the Gnostic Warrior. So these different militaries around the world are using this. They were using it in Vietnam. The Russians have used it, okay? They're using it to spray over people, okay? And it's a slow-acting type of poison. You don't die immediately from it, okay? So if it's to be sprayed or it's to be dropped, it's a slow-acting, deadly death that happens over time. It doesn't happen like you all die. It actually happens over months, and it could happen over years to when you finally die. But it can break down people. It can break down populations, and these toxins in the Aspergillus and the Stachybotrys are some of the most deadly in the world. So deadly that they're using them in bombs, right? These toxins cause cancer. They cause all types of diseases and illnesses. These fungi are doing the same thing, okay? They're killing people. I've written about studies where Alzheimer's patients, right? Alzheimer's patients, they're losing their minds. They're getting eaten, okay? And they did autopsies on all of these Alzheimer's patients that had died. And guess what they found in every single one of the brains? Every single one of them, guys. You heard it. Fungi, molds. Little bugs everywhere tonight. Sorry, guys. It's a summer night, one of those nights, and I got something stuck in my shoe too. I was walking over there, it was pretty sharp, sorry. So these fungi, I'm finding, are causing lots of illnesses, right? I've read on Crohn's. If you Google Crohn's and fungi, there are now studies finding out that Crohn's, which allegedly has no cause that they could find right now, they don't know what's causing it. Of course, people that have irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, problems with their stomach, etc., they have to take medication, a lot of them, for life. They're now finding that candida and different types of fungi are likely the cause of this Crohn's. And people that are given antifungals are sometimes cured from these deadly diseases like Crohn's, like Parkinson's, like Alzheimer's, like cancer, okay? You'll see this time and time again, guys. All right, and I believe that this fungi, these parasitic fungi, are the ones that are causing all of these deadly diseases that I'm naming now, and 100 different other ones that people are dying from, but there's no cause that they could find, right? They just got to take this pill for life, and they got to die in agony, but no one could find the cause. But the cause is all around us. The cause is staring us in the face in the bathroom on our tile, looking at us. We're breathing them in. You don't even see them. The deadly spirits, the elementals that you can't see, that the ancient philosophers used to talk about in the church fathers. So that's what I want you guys to realize. When I start talking about the demonic parasitic fungi, I compare them to what the church fathers and what the Gnostics had called the demiurge and the archons, the spirits, the demon world, what they call in Christianity unclean spirits, impure spirits. And I want you guys to think along this line that I'm trying to draw, and I'm trying to connect the ancient past, right? My work is all about the ancient teachings, connecting them to the modern era, all right? And that's what we need to do. We need to think like they thought, but use the words that we use. And keep in mind, guys, when the philosophers were writing back then, when the Gnostics were writing thousands of years ago, okay, when the philosophers like Paracelsus were writing, they had a different language, a different vocabulary. They had a different type of science that has evolved over hundreds of years, thousands of years since that time. And what I've found is the connections between these impure spirits, these elementals, these devils, these demons, these evil demons, okay? And this is a different type of world than the hierarchy of angels, etc. This is the evil spirits, guys, that they were talking about, the incubi, the succubi, right? Those were the spirits that were able to have sex with their victims while they were sleeping, right? And have children, right? So all these different stories of these spirits and of these elementals, these creatures. And if you look at the descriptions and you start researching about these elementals, you'll start finding an eerie connection to the parasitic fungi world, the molds, guys. The stuff that I'm talking about in the beginning of this video, the stuff that I'm working in every day in water damage and mitigation and restoration. I'm finding that we're in the middle of a plague, guys, and it's of epic proportions. They would have simply called it a plague back then. Today it's disguised and dressed up with 1,000 different Latin names that you can't pronounce, and diagnoses that can't be found. People given prognoses of death, of pain and misery for the rest of their lives, and no one knows the cause. Yet we're breathing it in every day. We're looking at it in our houses, on our tiles, in our rooms. Did you guys know? Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining the conversation. You got it, diagnosis. Yeah, so people don't realize our whole medical system is set up by the Gnostics. When you go to a doctor, you're given a diagnosis. And people don't realize dia means God. Gnosis means knowledge. To be a healer in the old days, to be a true Gnostic, you had to be a Gnostic, guys, that operated from your heart. You might have got paid as a physician, but you would probably be dead, or you would be thrown or banished out of town if you weren't curing anybody like they're doing now. But no, they make trillions of dollars, right, by not curing no one, right? Race for the cure. It's like race for the non-cure. Nothing's happening, guys. And I'm telling you, look to fungi. If any of you guys have problems with your health or anything, and you're wondering what's going on, or your family, start looking around your houses. Start looking. If you already see it, and you're getting sick all the time, and your family's getting sick, you guys got to be your own physicians. This is the era that I want to bring in, okay, with the Order of the Gnostics, the Gnostic warrior. All right, I healed my family, I healed myself once I found out who the enemy was. Okay? And I'm not talking about the magic mushrooms, right? I'm talking about the parasitic mushrooms that want to eat our flesh, that want to eat our minds, that want to eat our little children, right? They want to go in their lungs, and they want to grow, and they want to release their poisons. They want to putrefy their flesh so they could eat them. That's their job. So, don't you think in old times, in ancient times, that they would think they were evil, possibly? That these things that were around them, that they knew, were evil. And I actually believe they're intelligent. And I actually believe they can commandeer people's minds. And I actually believe a lot of the people you see are not people. They're fungi, parasitic fungi, that have been commandeered and have been taken over. And that's why this fucking world is going mad. Excuse my language, guys. But that's what's happening. You see it everywhere around you guys. People aren't using their minds. They're going just crazy and mad. They're using no reason. They're operating off of their emotions. And if you're a Gnostic, if you're a follower of truth, a follower of wisdom, a philosopher, right? You know you're not supposed to act on your emotions. You know you're supposed to control your emotions. You know you're supposed to take the higher road, right? We're supposed to control our lower selves. We're supposed to rise to the light, right? We're supposed to use our minds and not get controlled by the program, the matrix, because that's what it is, right? That's where all the sheeple, the parasites. So imagine if you were to create a world. Good evening. Yeah. Imagine if you were to create a world for the parasite. Food, entertainment. A world where there was just a bunch of consumers mindlessly consuming. What if these people, over time, didn't know about these parasites and these fungi? And they were stuck in the program, the hologram, and they were getting entertained. The TV, the job, the school. They were getting fed knowledge by people who they thought had their back. They were turning on the TV, listening to people that they thought they were giving them gnosis, knowledge. Our grandparents, our parents, right? The 50s, the 60s, the 70s. It all started out so innocent. Just turn on the TV. In the 60s, just drop out. Do the drugs. Drop out of society. Who cares? In the 80s, rebellion, punk rock, right? Came in the 70s and the 80s. In the 90s. Same kind of program, school. Everything was the same. More channels were added to the program, right? Cable TV, games, Atari, Nintendo. And more games and TVs and movies. And all the while, there's this unseen entity taking over people's houses and their minds. And no one knew. And they started creating food that was perfect, corn syrup and boxed potatoes and canned food, and that morphed into our modern GMO world today, and fast food and worm food and parasite food and Budweiser and Coors, right? You guys know what that's made of. Fermented. It's made with fungi. The American culture, right? Hamburgers and hot dogs and beer, soda pop, making our bodies acidic, pools of blood, the perfect breeding ground for the parasite to grow and to multiply. Our homes made of wood and drywall, all kinds of materials that are perfect food, perfect environment where these parasitic fungi to grow in our walls unseen, hiding, releasing their unseen elemental spores in the air, and we're breathing them in, right? Imagine that. Imagine humanity just kept going along thinking they were in control. Freedom. Little did they know that there was evil elemental spirits all around them, taking them over, and their families, their children. Imagine if you knew this, and you could create a society and a world that was perfect, a perfect world for the parasitic fungi to be entertained, to thrive, to pick a game, pick whatever food they want, satisfy their parasitic selves, right? Humanity. When you start looking at humanity in a different way, and you start looking at like the Gnostics almost did, but the modern Gnostics, the order of the Gnostics, right, guys? We're in the year 2017, so let's bring it to them like we should. Let's get out of the ancient times, let's bring it to the now. And understand that we're dealing with people in a world where there's two kinds of people. There's people that have risen to the light. They know how to use their minds. They know how to use intelligence and reason and wisdom. They know how to control their emotions for the most part. It's really hard when we got a lot of parasites around us, guys, right? And then you have the people that are controlled mostly by the parasite. Then I believe there's a third one, and those are people that go in and out of the parasite, right? Those are the bipolar people, right? Schizophrenics. You know what they're finding out with these people? Guess what they have? Yeah, a lot of them have fungi and mold, candida problems. Another little thing, did you guys know that people die from AIDS? You know they don't die from AIDS. You know what they die from? 99% of the time? Fungi, molds. Almost every disease out there, guys. And this will become more evident and evident to you as time goes by and you start thinking like I am, and I hope I'm opening some minds, blowing some chakras with some of this talk. You guys should understand what these fungi are doing. I talk about it in another video I have on Facebook, and if you guys want to see more of these videos, join the Facebook community, facebook.com/Gnostic Warrior. Down in the description section, you can click on the link, like that page. I do most of my live broadcasts from there because I have a huge following right there, and they're all tuned into these, and I'm going to start doing them here depending on the feedback that I get today. So you could start watching some of those videos. Good evening. Hey. So in one of those videos, I talk about how these fungi are able to commandeer chemicals. So I want to drop a little science for you guys, right? So we talk a little bit about the ancient stuff, talk about the modern, and then you guys need to kind of hear what the science is. So these elemental fungi, these molds, they're able to do what is called horizontal gene transfer. Okay, Google it, HGT. What that means is they can graft, they could merge into our DNA. Okay? They could basically commandeer our DNA and they can become one with us. And this is what they're doing with everything around us right now. Right? These are the archons. These are the elemental spirits, the impure spirits they were talking about. And I actually have research that they could impregnate women. Yeah. That's ancient research. I don't have nothing to tie it to now, but some ancient shit that used to happen back in Crete with the magicians and the priestesses of Pythia, the Pythia priestesses. You could learn about that if you want to go Google some trippy stuff, what those guys used to do, those ladies. In any event, religion Oh, I gotta go to science. Sorry, I was losing my train of thought. Remember, guys, I don't got a script here. This is just me and you guys talking. I'm kind of the walking, talking philosopher. I kind of feel better when I walk and talk. I don't like sitting in front of a camera. And I always say this quote by Plato, all learning is remembering. And what Plato had meant back then is that if you guys are into the Gnostic path, you understand that we're immortal and we have lived before and we're going to live again. So when Plato had said all learning is remembering, a lot of us are remembering these teachings. That's why we're attracted to them, okay? Because we've known them. We've had this gnosis in a past life. Okay, so when you resonate with something or a teacher or certain Gnostic philosophies or philosophies in general, I can guarantee that your DNA goes back through this lines of teaching somewhere, and it's recorded in your DNA software, because your DNA is like a software, and science is proving that. All right? So back to the DNA and the fungi, right, that are able to commandeer our DNA, horizontal gene transfer. They're also able to commandeer chemicals and processes in our body, like cortisol. This cortisol is produced by our adrenal glands. Okay? And these fungi are able to get in there and commandeer the cortisol. A lot of people don't know about cortisol, but cortisol, guys, let me tell you, it's one of the most important chemicals in your body. People think of cortisol like cortisol steroids, etc. Sorry guys, I'm baking hot, sweating. So this cortisol is in charge of all types of processes in our body. It controls your immune system. It tells it when to turn on, when to turn off. It tells your food how to burn it, your calories, etc. It's in every organ, every tissue, everything in your body. It basically controls all the different processes of your body, okay? And what they're finding out, and I had posted this on my Gnostic Warrior Facebook page, is that these microbes in our gut, these fungi, right? They're able to communicate with the brain. Okay? And this was, you could Google this, guys, the science, right? So everything that I talk about could be backed by science. It's just not stuff that's coming off the top of my head. I've actually researched this. There's science that they're proving that these gut microbes communicate with the brain through cortisol. So Google that, and you'll find all kinds of information about these gut microbes that could communicate. And when you start learning about cortisol, man, you'll open up a whole new world, and you'll start understanding how these demon elemental fungi, these molds, are taking over humankind and what they're doing to our bodies. Everybody's looking at bacteria, right, and viruses, but no one's looking at the molds, the fungi. That's where I think everybody's got it wrong. And it's going to become more and more evident to you guys as time goes along. And sorry for my connection if it's going out on you guys. It says it's a bad connection here. I get that on Facebook too. It's just these iPhones and everything. And I don't do this for money or anything. I'm just doing this to educate people out there. You know, I'm a disciple, a student myself, like you guys. And one of our jobs is, once we have gnosis and knowledge of a certain subject, we're supposed to be a teacher, and we're supposed to take it in the world. So I want to inspire some of you guys to have your own gnosis and knowledge and share it with people. And it's a cool little thing. You could pick up your phone and just start, going with your walking stick. And I feel like it's part of me. As I had said, all learning is remembering. I didn't continue with that thought, right? I used to be a walking philosopher in a previous life. If you look at Plutarch, I don't compare myself to him and the various philosophers back then. A lot of them like to teach and walk. They like to walk with their disciples and walk all throughout town. And you'll hear stories about this throughout Greece and Rome, different philosophers in Ireland, France. One of my theories is we're sitting all the time, right? In this day and age, and always on the computer, researching, if you're into knowledge and research and gnosis, and going down the rabbit hole, man. Sometimes I've spent 12, 14, 15 hours on the computer researching You know, and I've done it in this world of fungi, these parasitic molds, when my son got sick, and that's how I healed him. And I'm going to share those stories in the future. You know, again, the subject's not about healing my son, but I did use gnosis, I did use knowledge, I used the power, right, and the God-given herbs, etc., that have been given to us to heal my son. And he was on death's door, guys. He was in a wheelchair. Yeah! So some cool neighbors. I've had some crazy neighbors go after me a couple times. You guys might see those on the other videos. Again, go to facebook.com/Gnostic Warrior if you want to see the Facebook page. Join the community over there. Excuse me. I talk and I don't clear my throat or swallow, so it gets stuck in there. So I gotta spit once in a while, and then I'm sweating. Need some water. Beautiful day though. We got a nice little sunset coming in. It's been hot here. So if you guys want to see more of these live videos, please comment below, like this video, let me know that you like it. I'll do more live videos, and then if more people want to see them, I'll try to do them at times when I can, and when everybody could see them. So let's see if I have a little bit better connection over here at my house. Still says I got a bad connection, so sorry guys. So this cortisol, guys, if you research the word cortisol, and as I say in my other videos, if you haven't watched those, we got to understand words if we're using them, right? If we're using words in our vocabulary and we want to be Gnostics, we want to have gnosis, we want to have knowledge, we got to start understanding the words that we're using. For example, cortisol. Cortisol is a compound word, soul. Court basically is a court guard, or someone who watches over the court attendant. Okay, and then I, and then soul. Soul or light being that of the sun. Okay? This cortisol is one of the most important chemicals in the body, and this fungi they're finding could commandeer this cortisol, which they're finding out is in our guts and is communicating with our brains. Okay, and this is what I feel is happening to a lot of people, and what this fungi is doing from the horizontal gene transfer. As I'd said, Google that, start finding out and researching about that. And then, you know, the cortisol, by commandeering the cortisol. And they're able to also leach most of our nutrients, like our B vitamins, our phosphorus, one of the most important chemicals that we have. Man, I mean, the phosphorus is what makes us go. That's the light, right? That's our consciousness. They're able to eat that up and gobble it up. Every single chemical in your body, they're able to suck out, and these cause various chemical deficiencies that then cause illness and cause disease and then can cause death. So you start researching these fungi, these demon elemental parasites, and how evil they are. You could start comparing them to how they used to talk about the parasites, these demon parasites, and what I believe are they're going into this elemental world, right? And I believe that they knew about this back then and they were able to communicate. And so imagine if these fungi, right, are able to commandeer our DNA and able to eat us. They're essentially consuming our DNA and merging into us. So wouldn't they be able to possibly communicate? Think about this, guys. Wouldn't they possibly command us to do their bidding? It's something to think about. Maybe John D was communicating with the fungi. Interesting. I've got some great research and stuff that's going to blow your guys' mind coming, and I just haven't released it yet. I just wanted to kind of do this first test live video with the YouTube community. I thank you for listening. I don't know how to do these comments. Yeah, and keep in mind when I use the word parasite, it's something that lives off its host, right? It's something that sucks off of something, and it doesn't add value to that host. I'm saying here, put the comments below if you guys ever want to have a debate, live debate. If there's any Gnostics out there that want to debate Mo, I always put that out there. No one's taken me on that offer, But if you want to debate about what I'm talking about, or you would like to have a conversation, of course, a reasonable conversation, we respect one another, etc., comment below, let me know. Email me, Mo at Gnostic Warrior.